But yeah, really nice that you came. Yeah, I didn't prepare anything. Also, I'm like feeling a little funny, like a little hungover or something. So if I'm slow in the head, that's because of that. But hopefully I'll wake up a little bit.
But you have to translate when we understand. Yeah.
No, yeah. You're going English. Thank you. Yeah, we have four and a half members of Brand here, because I don't know if I really count myself, because I only joined Brand very recently. My 4 friends here have been part of Brand for a longer time, which is why they'll be talking more about the magazine and its history and how Brand works, which we thought would be interesting as part of this project of like exchange between Brand and moloko, to kind of compare some of the similarities and differences between how this works in 2 very different countries. And so I don't know if I should say more to introduce this, because I think I can just let you take over and we'll hear a bit about the structure of Brand and its history through the many years. It's a very old publication, so it has a long, interesting history, and a little bit about how it works today and some of the thoughts behind how it works before we can open up for more of a discussion, I guess.
So maybe I'll start with introduce myself. My name is Rebecca. So I'm sort of like I went in US over No. I live in Malmö, so I'm sort of a satellite in the editorial.
Should I hold the door?
And I'm Julia, and I'm part of the editorial group since around 1.5 years, 2 years.
And my name is Mario, and I'm part of the image and layouts editorial since 2014.
My name is Evelina. I joined the same time as Mario in the image and layout editorial.
Yeah.
No, can you have
The previous one?
Yeah,
sorry,
we just wanted to say that Brand is the name of our magazine, and it in Swedish it means fire.
Like a wildfire.
Yes.
Pожар, I think, is the Russian word.
Yeah. So it's not only like the English word brand.
Brand magazine.
Yeah. This is more
Even though we're full brand.
fiery. Yeah. So that's that.
And the logo is quite new, but it's been a cat for quite some time.
It's the anarchist cat.
Yeah, the international anarchist symbol, but it has been a cat since the 80s.
Actually, start. So, what is Brand and what type of texts do we do? We are anarchist or libertarian socialist magazine, kind of, and we are really kind of very rooted in the activist milieu environment. So everything we write somehow comes from this, and it's reflecting on our work as activists, and we analyze like the situation and what we do and what we should do in this type. So that's like the heart of what we do, because we realize that it's because we are we make 4 issues every year, quarterly. No, I don't know in the English, but 4 issues every year. So we can't really write the newest news stories, and it's not really like live reporting or so. So
yeah, that can't really compete with how fast you can get news out online. So it's much like slower. A place to like think and reflect on where is our movement, where are we going. And the movement not as in Brand, but as the Swedish or also sometimes international like anarchist movement.
And it's also very important for us to transfer knowledge through this magazine. So we kind of reflect on what do we know, and if also someone has specific knowledge. So we try to like spread the knowledge through generations and also groups.
Yeah, so that if you face like a situation that you maybe have faced years before, then you can like reuse those tools you had before, so you don't have to like invent it all over again. So it's like samlad-kunskap.
Yeah,
the collective mind.
Collective knowledge, and also like the texts usually are relevant over a longer time, so you can read a magazine that is several years old, but still the content will be relevant to today's.
That's why we want it like in print. Like it's meaning to have it in print instead of like posting everything online.
It's also an economical question. But we'll come to that later. Nej, men vi kör. Vi fortsätter. So we kind of we have written here open anarchism, focusing on content. With that we mean that Brand writes about what we mean with anarchist is it's a kind of way of doing and seeing activism. So it's not a label, and therefore we're not writing about like historical anarchists that much, but really like it's not always that important that a person calls him or herself anarchist. It's really the important thing is what you do if you organize stuff, and so it can sometimes also be like
tenants' rights,
and
if
so
there's
on.
something like relevant for the issue.
Yeah, so they don't have to be like I'm an anarchist. So that it can be I do this for the greater, for us, like for. Yeah, so I don't know. Is it something?
There are some like but there are some like keywords that we sometimes like write and think about, but more of that will like reveal itself as the presentation go along.
Yeah.
So you can continue.
No, I've got a question. Can I please go back? What does it mean that you don't write something about identities and historical political traditions?
It means kind of we could of course do that. It depends on what one means with that, with the identity. But we in at least in Sweden it has been kind of popular to focus very much on identity, and so that's why we mean that we write about not happenings.
What's happening?
Like action,
the activities and like movements, instead of focusing on
what
we call ourselves or what we call others, and try to have like more of a discussion. Can I say like that?
Did it answer the question about it?
It didn't.
I think.
Okay, we move on.
We can talk about it later.
Yeah, and like interesting is that most of us here we're not journalists. That differ us from Moloko.
Yeah.
Yeah, people work with many different things, and it's not the mainly occupation. And we are also everybody works for free, so it's voluntary everything. And I mean that's not a really ideological decision for us. It's more like how it works today.
Also like economical.
Yeah.
But we will come back to that later. And
so
like,
and it's everybody that really wants to can join. If they are like interested in politics, and kind of identify as a leftist at least. So we don't just pick people because they are very professional.
Yeah, so this is like to explain the structure of how we work.
Structure.
So we have the text editorial group, that is sammanstatisk, the same every continuous.
Yeah.
And then we have the image and layout editorial, and we're the members of image and editorial layout. So for every number, people from those groups go together and makes the issue editorial.
Yeah. So in the text editorial, there is maybe 15 persons now.
I think so.
And in the image and layout editorial, we are maybe 12, 10?
No, less.
8? At some point we were many, but
now it's like 8.
8 persons. So we are kind of the body of brand.
Yeah.
But then when we make an issue, then people from outside also can be part of that. So for every issue, there is maybe 4 persons who have extra
responsibility for the issue.
Yeah.
And then they can invite friends, other organizations or hangarounds or maybe journalists or whatever to be a part of that group that puts together the issue. So
if they sort of have special interest for the topic of the number.
Yeah, because every issue is different themes. So it's a specific theme, and then and we invite people that could be interesting doing that.
Yeah, and sometimes even other groups has done everything. If there's another group that's interested in doing an issue, they do it by themselves, and then we help them some and print it as brand.
Yeah, so the issue editorial can actually be just one contact person from the brand body who just have this contact with them.
And then we can in that way we can work with different issues at the same time, so everyone can do the thing they're most interested in all the time, instead of now we have to do this issue with this team that I'm not interested in, and so
sort of a timeline where you can see the first, that's the absolute first issue, 1898.
Yeah, and that's actually that picture there. It's the front page from the first ever issue.
So we were also black and white then.
So Brand was founded by the Swedish Socialist Youth Organization, actually, back then. But after 1950s, there is no special connection to any group. So then Brand is its own magazine, just like that. And in the beginning it was a weekly paper, but I don't know when it stopped being a weekly paper. In the start it was.
But there was some sort of a golden age between 1910 and 1930.
Then we sold a lot of papers in Sweden. I think the most, because they had sometimes we had contemporary papers that because of censorship, Brand had to change its name. When they gave out stuff on
a new issue,
the issues on controversial themes.
Yeah.
But sometimes an issue could sell 60,000 copies, which is really much in Sweden.
But the theme name was it was called then the danger of. So there was if instead of naming the issue Brand, it was the danger of Bolshevism,
religion, the danger of
Bolshevism, and
so they have the same name but different topics.
Yeah, different topics.
Yeah.
And during that period, it was also always someone from Brand in jail, or was accused for something. Yeah.
Yeah, because of what they wrote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also like between 1910 and 1930, but also like later, a lot of people that now are like big, really famous like writers and journalists, they began writing for Brand. So that's...
Yeah.
So there is a and it's we had a look in those very old magazines, and we found like, but no, we didn't put that picture here. We forgot it.
Yeah.
But we found ads for secret ads for contraceptives, and also like for ways to make illegal abortion. So that was an early place for like those type of questions too.
Like secret in what sense? Like you were saying, it's like
Illegal.
for socks or something.
Yeah, it was like
condoms were for socks. So you buy socks.
And vad var det livmodersprutan kallats?
Livmoderspruta. I don't remember what the name
Code words.
Yeah.
It's a code word for what do you call livmoder? Uterus, some sort of abortion.
Cleansing.
Or like cleaning your uterus.
Yeah.
But it was abortion.
Abortion.
Yeah.
So you can buy those stuff through.
So now in later time there hasn't been really that much vad heter det?
Cool merch.
Nej, jag menar så censorship. But in 2000 Brand actually was charged with incitement after they had made a kind of a manual for how you can occupy your house.
Yeah, and like riot manual.
A riot manual, and at the same time there was a squat or occupation. So then
A quite brutal and violent occupation in
so
college,
then they were charged Brand for like being part of that somehow because of this text. But
they tried to find evidence that the people occupying the house had read the guide
and like followed it.
Yeah, but nothing happened then. So it's more in the past.
Yeah,
kind of.
Yeah, but now we never have problems, I think, with those kind of things.
Not much. No, and I mean we had the Brand magazine from this 1898, but it had some pauses, so it hasn't really been continued the whole time, and it has also sometimes changed city from where it was made, and those times also probably almost the whole editorial has just like changed and made their new version of Brand, so it has had a little bit different types of
I think we have some pictures of how it's so these are like the first year's issues.
Early.
So it says like midsummer paper.
Is that it?
The one in the middle is Christmas number. Ja, julnummer.
The Dreyfus Affair, like famous historic event. That's interesting.
Is this for me?
Okay.
Alright.
So here between the
Who's calling? Hello.
So I think these are like
These are like 50s.
are some for.
But
Really?
this one's 30 something, no?
Yeah, I
This
think
was
it's
48.
Spanish Civil War.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, and someone there. I think the red one is from 71.
Yeah, so it's
Mot Bolsjevism.
against Bolshevism and fascism. This is
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, go on, yeah. And this, from 80s to 2000. Hey, come in. We can just move this, you can see. I can back.
So this was the Brand that was just before our rebranding of Brand.
we have some of those here as well.
Yeah, you can have a look in one from 86 and one from 92. So it was based in Malmö at some point and some point in Stockholm, but they had a little bit different approach. So on the next page,
not that much discussion, more like activist reports.
Exactly. Yeah. Activist reports and like short stories and so. So this is from 2010 was when this editorial kind of formed itself.
So since 2010, our editorial have been like vilket nummer? Fan heter
Been in charge.
Been in charge.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is now we're going to talk about distribution and economy. So we actually get money from the Swedish state, but it's not exactly how it sounds, because we are applying money from the cultural department, kind of, not department, Kulturrådet.
Council, like council,
yeah,
culture.
And they have some kind of policy where they say that they shouldn't be, they don't have any thing to say about the content, or they were like armlängds avstånd is the
like they are removed from the content. They don't distribute money based on content, I guess. Right?
So
it doesn't affect our content that we get money.
No, at this point it doesn't affect our content. We haven't been afraid to publish some specific things because of this. But, well, you never know what will happen. So it's good to have other ways of funding your project. And this is also something we kind of think about. But when you don't really need to get money from Patreon or something else, then you don't build those structures. So we are very dependent on this money, actually. And they give money if you print a quarterly magazine. Or if you give out more issues in a year, that is also possible, but you have to produce 4 issues per year, and it has to be printed.
But one year, for example, we forgot to apply for the...
It was a miss.
It was a miss, but then we had like parties that we had
and like before,
entrance.
and I think like just 6 years ago or something like that, and they just had parties to get money for the paper, and didn't get the cultural
parties
council.
when you dance, not the party. Also
in
partier.
Parties
Fest.
And we sell the paper like there you can see we're at we have like a 1st of May march with the syndicalist union, and then.
But that is not that. That was a demonstration for housing rights.
Okay.
So sometimes we go to demonstrations and sell the magazines. This was a housing demonstration, but we sell a lot on 1st of May, and have release parties, of course.
Yeah.
And then the other pictures are from Anarchist Book Fair?
Yeah, so that in the middle is in Umeå, in the north of Sweden, and that at the left is in Malmö. And we also have the paper at like book cafes, like there's some in the like bigger cities, like anarchist book cafes,
like info shops.
Yes.
And then there is we have a list of people that prenumerations subscribes.
Yeah.
So they get the issue directly in the post.
So I have like 700 subscribers now, and we print like 1,500 numbers every issue.
Yeah.
Vad mer om det här?
Ja, vad ska jag säga?
Vad vi ska säga här.
Om det var något mer.
Like even if we have like different occupations, like the one thing that connects us is that everyone is having or have had like a background in the autonomous movement, and that's like that's really important for the magazine. Like we used to say that we make the text, we make the magazine for like ourselves, and that's like the autonomous movement. So it's kind of connected.
So when we want to have text written to us, then we can always ask people in different movements. So then, and they then have a lot of contacts in a network. So that's kind of.
Det är allt.
Ja.
Ja, okej.
Kind of first question. One collective lives in different cities, so how do you organize your communication?
Through like oh my god, there's so many channels, but mostly through some called the Slack. Yeah. The Slack.
Have you heard of Slack?
Yeah, also Slack. Okay, next question about administrative work, because big problem to control deadlines and so on. Do you have maybe special people who control such things? Or no?
I mean,
That's the responsible persons in the issue editorial. They are responsible for the deadlines.
yeah, but it's kind of different, I think, because like I mean, sometimes that responsibility fluctuates because like we used to have like one person who sets all the deadlines for a year, like kind of like we should do this at this date and this at this date. But then we have one person that is more responsible
for each deadline.
Yes, but we have people doing like just administrative stuff as well. Like we all help with it, but we have one person just working with like sending out papers. If someone like emails us and like I want this, or someone buys an issue, then they send it from. We have kind of an office space. So they do that, or like someone is doing the economy. Yes.
Okay, what about authors who broke deadlines?
That happens all the time.
If they break the deadlines, they can't be in the issue because we have when we have booked the time in the printing place, we need to send it in.
Yeah.
So if they don't send their text in time, then
So you just remove this article, or trying to find something else for this place?
No, maybe we just like expand we change in the layout, because I mean sometimes that's really bad that it is like that, but sometimes it has been like, oh, we need another article because there is more room in the paper. Okay, we just translate the text. So that's really bad, but I mean it has happened like sometimes, but usually we just like change in the layout because we want our text to have like a high quality, and then when you like just stress it, then it won't be that good.
But the thing is, when we start the process of making a magazine, then you ask a lot of people to write texts, and naturally people drop out, because they don't get paid for it. Then maybe they don't see it as that important, or they have other stuff to do in their lives because they work with many different things. So then you just have so many texts from the start that if everybody would write them, then it wouldn't fit.
Yeah.
But then people drop off. So then in the end, there will be a good amount.
Natural selection.
Yeah. And we also work like with an issue. I think almost like 2.5 months or so. If you think when you start planning, so then you have kind of a long time to like. You sort of get who isn't going to send in something, and then we have like a personal contact with a lot of people that write in our magazine, so you know like this person don't always do what they say, or this you can rely on this person to send in their texts. So.
But that is also up to every issue editorial to choose when they start.
Yeah.
There has been issues done very quickly, like 2 months. But then there is a lot of numbers that you start to think of the theme like maybe 6 months before. So.
How do you manage your work and other daily routines, like other work studies? Because it's like my boy.
My pain.
My pain.
Struggle.
Jag hörde inte riktigt.
How much hours you spend on brand each day?
How many hours each day?
Hours,
We don't do it every day, but
But I mean, before going to print and like in the end.
then it's very stressful.
Yeah. Yeah, especially like if you have another job, like most people have, then like it's like you get home from work. Yeah, like everyone has. You come home from work, and then like after that, I mean, sometimes it's like you work all evenings in like several weeks. Like especially like 2 last weeks, it's like every evening until it's.
But it's also like you can plan a bit.
Yes.
Like, okay, so I don't have that much time this coming month, so I won't do this. I won't do the layout for this number.
Yeah, because we help each other out. It isn't like the same person who does the layout every time. For example, because like that used to be like the most thing that you need to like stress through, because
when deadlines are put later,
yes,
then
exactly.
there is less and less time for the layout, of course. But the thing is that's also why we have the issue editorials, because then you can know that, okay, if I will make the number 1 of 2018, blah blah, then, and I know I have a little more time to do that, but then you don't have to do the next one, or
maybe take a smaller part in it. So
that's.
So if you have like that time, like once a year or something, then it isn't as bad.
Like how is like the editorial process organized? I mean that like anarchism is kind of strongly against hierarchy, but you actually need to work on content, and kind of there are many people involved, and there may be some controversial situations with the text which someone wrote, and like you need to edit it, and like how the process like goes going between such situation.
I think there's like a lot of conversations. Like you don't just go in and like edit some text, and especially if like the content is something we feel like we can't stand behind this, we can't print it. So I think it's a lot of
stopped text.
Yes, we have, but then we just say like we can't print this article, rather than we change it to be something that it wasn't at the start. So that has happened sometimes.
It's also like this legal thing that we have, like ansvarig utgivare, it's called.
There's like a sort of designated editor-in-chief, like legal in Sweden, you have to have it. Somebody who's responsible for
so
the
if we write something illegal, that person would be charged. So that person has to say okay to every text.
But he doesn't really.
But it's usually really not a problem.
No.
Because that would be if the person really disagrees with the text, rather than it would be something that you're afraid will be censored.
Yeah, but I mean, he could disagree, but he would still like, okay, because it's like it's for discussion. So
but like but he isn't like some kind of.
Well, we don't have any boss actually, so we all are all are on the same. It's without hierarchies. And then, of course, you can never say that there is no hierarchies, because there will maybe be social hierarchies, but we don't have any like titles or so.
And like no one gets paid. We don't have like one person getting paid and then everyone else doesn't. So
so we try to discuss everything through and also more or less have consensus, right?
Like now.
But the thing is that the issue editorial still has kind of when they decide to do a number, then they get to decide what they want to have in it. It's not that the text editorial comes and tells, no, you should do it another way. It's only if it's a really like tricky question where a lot of people in the editorial disagrees. Then of course we could maybe tell to we would rather that you didn't publish that text or so. But that will always come with a discussion. It's not someone who decides what we should print or not.
Yeah.
And not exactly about to print, but like about text itself. So like like all people, they write in different style, or they might use like some information which for example, like in ordinary magazine, in capitalistic magazine, there is someone who's saying, oh, like you should write a different way because like maybe like this is like not matching, or like it shouldn't be here. But I understand that sometimes probably like even though it's like text about some lecture things, like it's also sometimes might happen like this, that someone shouldn't like write something or should write a different way. But like, is it common? I mean,
so sometimes it's like, for example, like really hard to understand some of these texts. It's like really academic, for example. And then sometimes what do we do when that happens?
Firstly, we try to tell them to write it not so academic. But then sometimes you also have to go into the text and actually like underline like this doesn't work. This is too academic. This word nobody knows what it means. Please change it. And actually edit. We do edit. Not just like right away and without asking, but we do edit.
But
shorten texts a lot because often they are too long.
But still, we still consider people's like specific style when they write. We're not trying to like. This is Brand, and then every text is supposed to have like this kind of voice because there are different people writing, and that is supposed to be like noticed. So, like we used to have like a big variety of people writing, and also like how it sounds. So some texts are more like academic, some texts are more kind of punk, or some texts are like poetic. Or very like personal, so it's you can really tell like some people have more experience with, for example, like being an activist and writing, and some have the like opposite. But I think that's one really good thing with Brand is that like you can see that we are so many people involved in this project that have so many different backgrounds and different things to say and different ways of saying it in.
Yeah, and we also considered the mix, so we try to find different types of text for every issue.
And like with the and also like when we edit, they always have to like see it and then say this edit is okay. It still feels like my text.
When you working on articles, sometimes you depend on photos or design of somebody who's like professional, but maybe like not sharing your views or not sharing your views like 100%. Do you buy something like for publishing some images or paying for some job, like technical job?
No, never.
No, we try to find the person who wants to do it for us because they believe in the thing.
Yeah. Even if they don't try it, just making like photos or like helping you with covers and design.
But we are three of us here is in the layout and image editorial, and we do that ourselves.
Yeah.
And we order kind of illustrations from people, but they have to do it for free. So it's more like if you want to, you can do it. If you don't want to, then we will ask somebody else.
If there's missing and if there's like missing an illustration, then we do it ourselves.
So like, we're talking about not only like economical independence, like independence from people who are professional but not sharing views.
Yeah, no.
No,
We
that's
ask
not
people
interesting
who
for
have
us.
their views.
Yes, because
people
they
like working with us, like doing illustration, are often like working with that professional and wants to help us out for free.
Yeah, because in Sweden there's a lot of people that like know about brand and like read the magazine, and we have a lot of people around us that are really good at a lot of things. So I think like it feels like more relevant for us than to like.
Yeah, it's
But
more like they
paying
ask us, could I please illustrate in
Yes.
in Brand? I would love to do that, and then we say, yeah, next issue.
Yeah,
But
and
for
with
the cover, there's a small amount of money.
Oh, we were
given for
discussing
that.
it, but
Nej,
it has
nej.
never been.
Because it was
I'm
for the
extremely
cover, it's
against
like we're like a bit picky with the cover, so maybe that we could be like annoying with the illustration doing the cover. So there's been like discussion on paying like a small amount of money for the cover illustration.
And if somebody needs money to like move to another city and to the library or archives or
yes, that is sometimes like sometimes when people are because some people are in Malmö like Roxy and some people are in Uppsala like a city north of Stockholm like Mario. Sometimes it's more like the longer travels, but like
short ones.
never. But like sometimes people get paid to, if we're gonna have a big meeting, then you can get paid, or if you're going somewhere else.
And to all the book fairs and stuff, then you don't have to pay for the trip.
Yes.
Brand pays for the trip.
And like where you're gonna stay and stuff. Yeah. But like it's an interesting discussion. It's hard as well because I spoke to my friend like some weeks ago that sometimes it's really expensive to be an activist where everything is supposed to be free. Like, okay, we're gonna arrange this like demonstration, then we have to buy like fabric, then we have to buy paint to make like banners, and then we need to get like, we're gonna give people this food, so we have to buy this ourselves because we don't have any money, and then like to like just participate and like just come and don't prepare anything, then it's really free. But when you're preparing it yourself, then you have to it's hard because we really want the paper also to be like, because we have talked about maybe like making it a higher price, because now I think our paper is like 4 euros.
Yeah, it's really cheap.
Really cheap.
4 or 5 euros.
Yeah, and like in Sweden, like magazines are usually like 10. At least. But we want to like keep the price low, and it's more important that a lot of people get the paper cheaply than for us to like make profits, so we can use the money to maybe have more travels. But I don't know. It's really hard to know how to do it the right way.
If I get it correctly, you have a special date when you send PDF to the printing office. So I do have like agreement about pages. Yeah. So I mean, if somebody breaks all deadlines and you have lost 20 pages, what happens?
Oh, but because I think in Moloko Plus you have much longer articles than we have. We usually don't have an article longer than 2 spreads. So then we just like change the layout.
You choose like a big photo or something.
Sometimes it's like that. Like you put up.
Yeah. I guess you have that problem then. I guess you have that problem.
No, because we don't have a special date with the printing office. Like we decided by ourselves. When it's done. So okay, we will send it. And sometimes like okay, we have like 10 articles or maybe more, but still we don't feel ourselves like we told the world, like we finished the conversation, and we need something more.
Yeah, because we are kind of limited to we have this like stapled back, and this is an 80-page paper, and this is like the limit. You can't have more pages and like this stapled back, and that's like, I think it's both like cheaper and less heavy for when we like post out the magazines. Then you have to pay a fee because of how much it weighs, and that fee is kind of high. So we wanted to be as light as possible, but still as many pages as we can. And also like 80 pages is when you maximize it, because we print in like offset printing. So then they do like this plåt.
Plates.
This kind of plates where you like print everything on it, and then to maximize the area of the plates, so we use everything we pay for. Then it's like 80 pages, so we can't like go down or go up that much. We can have like either 64 or 80 to not like lose a lot of money. So then that's like predetermined, but that's also good, because then you don't have to like
but
start at zero and like how many pages.
Exactly, because then you have the format, you know about that, and you can kind of a little bit speed up the work through having pre-made models. Like this text usually is this long, and then we know that we want to have this and that in every issue, so you don't have to think about it every time. And it's also good sometimes to have a sharp deadline, because otherwise I don't think we would manage to be making 4 issues per year if it was up to us to just like send it when it's ready, because then we wouldn't be ready, I think. So sometimes it's good to like, we have to, and that is the economic part, because if we don't make 4 issues, then we won't get any money the next years. So.
But we still have some like send it whenever you want, because we have the end section of every issue is like when people send in materials, and it can be like everything, so it isn't like people who ask, they send it like anyways. So it could be like a book review, or you have seen a play, you've written a poem, or you're upset about your boss, or it could be like whatever. And then so that is more like send in whenever you want, and then we print what we have.
So if someone also doesn't send in their like thematic text that we ordered, then there is always a book review you can put in.
Do you somehow analyze your audience? Do you know how many people read Brand and Worthy?
We had like statistics, but
we had got one this meeting like 2 weeks ago. We had someone had like sent out a lot of questions. What do you like about this? What do you like most about Brand, and what do you don't like? So we know a little bit.
Yeah, it was really fun, but it was nice that everyone said really different things about what they liked with the paper. But when so that was fun. But when we like sent it out, we didn't ask about who they are, who is reading Brand. But we were thinking about maybe, you know, in Swedish local magazines, we have like some people like going out asking people questions that live in a certain area with photos, and then they like ask, what do you think about summer? So we're thinking about having that, but like, what do you think about this thing in the movement, or what do you think about Brand? So we can like, it's kind of like friendly, you get to know each other in the moment.
But we have some idea of who is reading Brand. It's still usually activists or people interested in leftist theory and so on. So it's not, we're not trying to popularize the ideas to the folket, to the people. It's more like, okay, this is our knowledge production. We need to have this kind of discussion in our movement. And so we know that the people who read Brand are probably 16 years to... we know there are people who are like also 65 and 70 who read it, but like mostly I suppose people are around 20, 30 something. Yeah, but it's like some people have been in the movement a long time, and they continue to read Brand, and they have done it since they're like 80s or something.
But how many subscriptions? 600, right?
700.
Yeah, sometimes 600. Sometimes it drops, and sometimes it peaks.
So 700 subscriptions who get it directly per mail, and then I don't know how many buy it at the book fairs and info shops and so on. So
yeah.
I don't remember. Actually.
I think it's like maybe 100 issues. Like we send out maybe 100 or 200 issues to
that people buy from the webpage. You mean?
No, distributors.
Distributors. Yeah.
Yeah, and then from the webpage, not that much.
Yeah. But then, for example, sometimes we sell it on festivities, on parties. And then, for example, the first May issue is sometimes sold out just through entrance fees that then people can buy it together with the entrance fee. So it's hard to tell if they really read the magazine when they come home or not.
And also sometimes like a group has bought like we want like 20 of like that issue because we're gonna have a study circle about this theme, and that's also good because we have like different themes. I think you have it in like Moloko Plus as well, like different themes every issue. So then like some people are maybe more interested in one issue and some in another, and maybe that's why, I mean, it's still in the movement, but still it's like kind of I mean, it's kind of different people who reads it because different people are interested in different subjects. But like when we did like undersökning,
survey.
Yeah, the survey. Like most people lived in the like bigger cities.
And how do you work with your website? What do you publish there?
We have a thing on the website that is not printed, and we call them sparks. So many sparks make a fire, and that is kind of like it can be stuff that people send to us. Like, I want to write about this stuff. Could you please publish it? And then if it doesn't fit in the magazine or it comes in between of two issues, then we have more continuously. Continuous publishing where we publish, like, it can be very random, but then from every issue we choose 3 or 4 representative texts, or the ones that we think can have the most spreading on internet. So then we push them on Facebook and try to because we don't think that a lot of people actually type into our web page and really like follow the web page. It's more like if someone posts something on Facebook, then people click on that link and come through that way to our web page. Maybe they then read another text on the web page, or they just read the one. So this is the way of. But we also had an ambition of putting an archive of all old numbers on our webpage, so it can be found and read.
So here are like all the numbers from now on down to like 90s?
Yeah, so we have at least 4 texts from every number, but then also we have the idea of putting the PDF, the whole number digitally on the web. So because for us it's also more important to like spread the knowledge and the thing than like really selling a product.
Det står 1905.
Ja, det är ett av de första.
Are there different people who are like writing and editing like website and magazine? Or is it like sort of easier team divided to like people who are working on website and people who work on print version?
It's the same, and it would be very nice if someone would like to do the web page.
But that's gonna happen. But we're also there's also a lot of people writing that does podcasts. So that's kind of a big thing. We have like this flow of different podcasts. Sometimes there are people from Brand doing the pods. Sometimes there's like other pods that we think are good, so we have them in a flow.
And kind of DIY.
Yes.
So we help them have a platform and spread their podcast. So it can be found on Brand, but it's actually more like loosely connected to us.
But it's kind of like that everyone does everything.
So, as far as I understood, you get a different amount of money from selling from different numbers, from different issues. So you sell one issue and you get one amount of money, you sell another issue and you get another amount of money?
No, we get the same. We get the money once a year. The bidrag, vad heter det?
Men är det en fråga då?
It's like a government grant or like from this.
It's a grant, so we get it in once. But then, of course, we get some money from when people buy it.
Yeah. But
so what do you do with the money that you get from people buying it?
Doing the magazine, because it's like plus minus zero. It's more expensive to print the magazine than what we get for it. I don't think if we sold like every issue, I don't think we would get enough maybe to like print the issue. It's like
so if we get more money, then we save it to spend it on
having a party to sell magazines and to meet.
But parties are not a cost; it's a
way to make
money actually.
Yeah, and also to meet the people who read Brand and to like make other people like join and do something together.
Yeah, but we use all the money to make this. We don't
no one takes
send
any money.
The money to aid or something. It's like really going into making. Yeah.
But sometimes we have had like this party, and then a part of the money goes to us, part of the money goes to another organization. But that happens sometimes.
Do you collaborate with different entities?
What? With
different collectives? Do you make some collaborations?
Like different media projects, kind of. You mean?
Yeah. Cool.
No, not really. But we have been collaborating with other activist groups. For example, there was a No Border number. It was done by only members of a group that is called Nobody is Illegal, for example. But that was not maybe exactly what you asked.
No, that's cool.
Have you ever been punished by government politics or maybe Nazis for what you're doing in Deutschland? Or you ever get some censorship for what you're writing about?
Never censorship.
No.
Except since 2000.
Yeah, there was the one thing in 2000 that was...
You came after? You came a bit later maybe.
No. Because you're the guy who is like legally like sort of responsible for the magazine, because you have to have like a legal person that you can sort of
like punish, I guess.
Punish if we wrote like you should kill a couple. I don't know. I mean, he's like the one in charge because he is well known by the Nazis already. So it's like, okay, let's take him because he's already out there with his name.
But that's maybe for like other media projects.
Because
precis.
But I mean, of course, it is a threat still. Nazis and so on. But right now they haven't really made that much against us. But it's always there as a threat that you have to acknowledge somehow.
But more for the like autonomous left than for Brand specifically. But also like the Nazis in Sweden has like done. The group was like bigger in like just some years ago, like maybe 4 years ago.
The Nazis
were bigger, but then they were like internal conflicts and other stuff that Oh.
So they actually became less powerful.
But yeah, like I think it was what you meant too, is that it's not their main concern, Brand, I guess, because
they have other
it's also because it's a little bit more of an internal thing,
Yes.
I guess. Like all the leftist people and their friends read it, but it's not like they don't really notice it so much, I guess.
Yeah.
Like the magazine, the Nazis, so they go after some anti-fascist person or some leftist cafe or something, but not so much the magazine. So.
What do you think people see your view like activist group or journalist? Correct.
More journalists.
journalists,
yeah.
But also activists.
Because I think that people know, like, okay, so that person in Brand has been active in this group. So, I think that, because most of us working in Brand has been like active in different kind of groups. So, but more journalists, I think.
Yeah. I think it was more common like just a while ago that some people were like organized in Brand and then like something else, like some activist group. And now it isn't that much so, but it's also like less activities in like activist groups in Sweden now than just for some years ago.